What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of What They Don't Tell You. I'm your host, Jacob, along with your other host.
And we're here to bring you our perspective on news, facts, culture, and what we believe to be true about them.
So, guys, welcome back to episode 13, or 12, I think so. I'm in a new background. I kind of just flipped the camera around, so
cool.
Looks cleaner now.
Yep.
So we got 3 topics we're going to be diving into today, and then we also have a little trailer for next week's episode. We're going to be diving a deep dive into it, which will be really nice. So our 3 episodes for today are going to be Trump basically just disappeared, and everybody freaks out for no good reason. It was like 4 days. I don't even know. And then we're also going to be talking about the Minnesota Catholic shooting. It is hard to hear.
It's
we're
going
to be talking about that. It is, literally.
Quite literally. That sounds bad.
And
you know, it does.
And we're also going to be talking about Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift's engagement. Yeah. So, Aiden, you want to run us down for the first topic?
Yeah. So, Trump was abducted by aliens. Now, he's dead. Also,
he is.
Yeah. Oh, he was golfing. So he wanted to take a break from the news, like we all do, except he can't seem to avoid them. So yeah, he went away, hopefully to rest for a little bit after being in the public spotlight for months on end. And everyone
there was a
thought he
cabinet
was gonna
meeting
die.
Tuesday, right?
Yeah.
There was a cabinet meeting Tuesday, and then he had to do a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
So like, can't he take a break?
Yeah, but if he does, they were gonna sign the papers like legally dead. Let's elect a new president. So I think it's a stupid scenario, really. I mean, there's not much point to it. I just think that I can understand that we want to know where our president is, but it's frustrating when it's like, oh, man can't even leave for a day without being reporters everywhere and people being like, "What happened? Where is he?" I don't know. He's probably fine.
He's like, he can't take a moment to himself, right? Like,
yeah,
give him the weekend, right? Like, he's been he's probably hasn't had a day off since he got elected.
Yeah,
honestly.
And he was still posting.
Exactly.
During that
it wasn't
time.
Like he was just like
he just wasn't making a public appearance. And
exactly.
I don't know. It feels dumb. Look,
there
I'm not
wasn't
saying
anything scheduled too. That's the
know
thing.
Where he what our president's doing.
Right.
But it's not like it was like, oh, 2 weeks. I wonder where he went. You know what I mean? It was
exactly. Can we not talk about when Biden was literally like out for years? Like he wasn't there for like half of his term, and like
even like when he 2 made years, a public appearance, we weren't sure if he was there. The light was on, but like, nobody was
passed
home.
out on the beach with like a beer in his hand or something, bro. Like we can't give Trump 2 days to golf with his granddaughter. Like,
yeah, exactly.
What?
I mean,
yeah.
No disrespect to like Biden intended, but it felt ridiculous. We felt very lied to, and so it feels frustrating when they the left kind of immediately jumps on. Oh, Trump is now he disappeared for 4 days. He must be dead. Like
exactly.
Give him some credit here, you guys. Like,
and there was nothing. There wasn't like a public like interview or meeting or like press anything scheduled. So it wasn't like he was like canceling all these and like trying to get out of it. It was like there was nothing that was publicly scheduled. He was still posting on Truth, and so it's like, okay, give him a break. He can't go golf. Like, this man's been shot at 8 times. Yeah. Probably 28 times.
Yeah.
And like he's always I literally don't think he's taken a day off since he's got in. Like every day you're hearing about this and that. And like it's not bad.
As a president, I don't know if you have like a day off, I don't know how that but hey, Vance, can you just take over? I'm just gonna, hop out of here for a second. No, but I think that you should still have some time where you're not in that media spotlight. I mean, it's the media is the most annoying entity if you're in a public eye at all, because they just follow you around constantly and are annoying.
We've seen that with Justin Bieber having his little breakdown with the media and all these other things. It's like, so at some point you got to take a break because it's going to get to you, right? And like if we don't know what, like he could be working on something huge right now and he needs to be away from the media, right? He doesn't need to be telling every single little secret to everybody. If he's working on something big, he might need a couple minutes to think to himself, have a good golf game, you know what I mean? To clear his mind to do whatever. I don't know.
It's healthy, and it's not healthy to be in the media all the time. It's not healthy even to be running around all the time. I'm quite frankly glad he took those few days. I hope that was to chill for a second after, with all how everything's going on in the world. But I think that we do have a right to know what our president is doing, because we need to make sure he's running the country, but he's proven that and he's been doing that. So I think, it'd be one thing if he was vacant or not hadn't done anything, wasn't working. Like, that'd be one thing. Then you can start to question, oh, and now we haven't seen him for 4 days. Like, what's he doing? This is a different scenario. He's been working very hard. He's been doing everything he said he would do. Even if you're not a Trump fan, I think you can agree that, look, he got in. He's doing what he claimed that he would do.
Dude.
And we've been holding him accountable for the Epstein things, which he didn't do, right? So he's been doing a good job. I'm glad, other than the whole Epstein thing we can argue about. But I'm glad to see that he's followed through on what he said he was going to do. And I hope he continues to do that in the future.
And can we just say, like,
really.
He's 79 years old? Like, give him a break, bro. Most 79-year-olds would be napping for most of the day. So
yeah, I don't know when the man sleeps, honestly.
I don't either, bro, because he's, like, I just don't.
Yeah.
There's no explanation. And, like, again, I think that taking a break's good for anybody, right? You need to take breaks to be able to have fresh cognitive thinking, right? Shooting, right? And, like, even when he's, like, he's just every day, so give him, like, at least just give him some time. I don't know. People are just freaking out. They're trying to make some storyline. They're trying to
make a story when there's not really a story.
Exactly. And they're trying to shame him, I guess. I don't know if that's the right word. I don't know if that's what they're actually trying to do, but, like, it gives me the vibes of, like, oh, you're not here, right?
Yeah.
You're not doing your presidential duty.
Well, that's what they want, right? They're on a separate political party that's goal is to have their own candidates and push their agenda, so...
Like, bro, and, like, I guess we could look at it as good, right? Like, they're so worried about Trump, right? Like, why do you care so much if you don't like him, right? Like, Kamala Harris couldn't even go to a freaking Lakers game without, like, she was sitting in the nosebleeds and nobody even, like, came up to her, bro. So, like, Trump was like, Trump's just balling out over here, bro.
Yeah. No, I think it's good to be critical about every single president, no matter what, because I think that no matter what, there can be a layer of corruption. You want to keep an eye out for that.
Right.
But in this case, I'm like, guys, he was gone for 4 days. And was still posting, so it wasn't, like, gone. You just didn't see him in the media. And whereas Biden, weeks potentially on end, I think. I don't know what the longest recorded amount of time before we saw him in the news was. But I'm like, it's like they're trying to reverse it and be like, oh, look, same thing. He's not here. Is he dead? Because that's what everyone's on the, to be fair, that's what the Republican Party started doing. But I'm like, he's gone for 4 days. He has been there. He's been doing a lot more, and has showed that he has a level of cognitive function. Biden was not doing that. He had trouble speaking.
And I think Biden was dying. He is dying.
He had
talked about
dementia, and he had some sicknesses, obviously.
Cancer. We talked about that a while back. So,
I think we had a right to question that.
Exactly. Like, Trump, like, hasn't shown. Like, they've talked about, like, bruising on his legs and stuff like that.
Yeah, but he's been forthright about what that is. That's just that he's getting older, so that's a circulation issue. But he's been honest about that. Biden wasn't. So whenever we saw him making these slurs and like slurring his speech or doing these things, we always were like, what's going on? They were never forthright about what was happening. Yeah, they were never forthright about what was happening, and so we always question that question. Are you dying because you're exhibiting these symptoms? We have the right to question those symptoms. Trump hasn't exhibited those kind of symptoms to make us question the line of thought.
He's not trying to cover anything
dying
up.
Or being okay.
Exactly.
Yeah, right. He's not trying to cover that up. We haven't seen him in anything less than decent health, at least. Right. He's having some issues as he gets older. But
please,
but he has been in good health.
He's been shot out.
79-year-olds. Yeah. Right.
Yeah,
I think he's. So I think in this case, it's like, okay, there's no sign, there's no indication of something being wrong.
Right.
With Biden, there's an indication that make us question, is there something wrong? With Trump, there's not something where I'm like, he was having trouble walking, or he did this, or he tried to shake someone's hand that wasn't there. There's not that issue there, and so we're not raising the same questions, but that's how the left's kind of trying to distort the view of Trump, like, oh, is he in good health? Is he going to die? Like, that kind of stuff.
Like,
so I think we just need to chill out a little bit regarding our presidents, maybe in general, and maybe we shouldn't be so critical when they do take a day off no matter what.
Exactly. Because, like, there's a lot. I don't think anybody. I don't think there's a job that is, like, close to being the president of the United States. It's like, especially in this day and age.
Yeah.
Like, that's a lot of pressure.
Everyone in the world has an opinion about what you're going to do. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, imagine, like, waking up every day and there's 10 million comments circulating online about you. You know what I mean? That, like about what you should do with your job. You know what I mean? Imagine you're waking up to be like a construction worker and you got 10 million people being like, no, he shouldn't have put the beam that way. That looks ridiculous. So to wake up every day and see that would get exhausting.
It would.
Even just doing that, any of that stuff. So glad you took the day. We probably elaborated on this way too much. We wanted to give you the full kind of our thoughts on it. So to move on to the next topic, Jacob, you want to run us down?
All right, guys. So this one is a little bit of a heavier topic.
For sure.
Hits close to home, literally.
For me, yeah, it does.
But, so, we had, what was this? Almost a week ago now, we had a Catholic school shooting in Minnesota. Now, again, I think, what is this? Like, third Minnesota shooting that we've seen in the news this year?
Yeah.
Like,
well,
it's crazy. Like, I'm not, and like, again, there's probably more everywhere else, but like, it seems like the Minnesota ones are making news, and maybe just because we're seeing it more. I don't know. But this is the big one that everybody's talking about. And you have the name on the shooter.
Yeah, so the name of the shooter was Robin Westman, a 23-year-old transgender woman. We've obviously, and I hate to call this out,
it was a man previously.
Right. And when we're talking about these things, we have to understand that, and I think most people can agree that this is a mental issue. You have certain chromosomes you were born. God made you a certain way. To want to change that, there's clearly something. I would say it's usually a symptom and not necessarily a root cause, right?
Like
so
a
it's
mental health
something
issue.
A mental health issue, usually, right? Or a home that's not supportive in some way or lacking some kind of emotional depth or support, right?
And
so
I want to say before we get into this too deeply, I want to say people are going to be like, what about these special situations like a Moncrief, like we talked about a while back?
Yeah.
Those are different situations, so I think we've got to separate the actual mental health.
You don't generalize things like it's hard to generalize things. Generalizing things usually doesn't go very well. You have to be very specific about what you say. So in this case, and so this is what's frustrating to me. So when we talk about this Robin Williams, they said the police asked, or the police were asked, I believe it was the police, like, what were there any signs of any mental health issues, anything like that? And they were like, or any issues in the home, and they're like, no. And I'm like, okay, this person believes they're a gender that they're not.
Exactly.
I don't know where we went wrong. I feel like that's not even something I have to defend super heavily, because it should just be obvious that you were born a certain way. You don't change that. It used to just be accepted. I don't know why we've gone so far off the deep end. That used to just be accepted. So that is a mental health issue. And he took that, and we didn't watch it or weren't careful with it. And then he went and killed these people. Probably, yes, because of a depression. I wouldn't even say it's like, it's because they're trans. It's because that trans is a symptom of something underlying a deeper mental health issue.
So the school that he shot at, his mom actually was a previous teacher there. So he had connections to this school. And does that mean, and I think his mom was the one that signed off on his like gender affirming care, right? Or like surgeries or whatever, the hormones or testosterone, whatever it was.
Yeah.
And so I think the thing that, so again, I'll give you the stats real quick. So it was 17 injured, I believe, or was it 14?
17 injured, I believe, and 2 killed, as far as what I can tell.
And several of them are fighting for their life currently. Again, prayers to the families that have been impacted by this.
Absolutely.
The shooter killed himself after he went on a rampage. He was shooting from outside into a window. Now, I think, like we said, this is a mental health issue because a lot of these... And, like, okay, did you see what he had wrote on his gun, right?
I saw a little bit. I believe there was, like, a kill Trump thing.
Kill
like
Trump.
A bunch of, kind of some...
There was a bunch of, like, weird, like, writings
and stuff. Yeah.
That, like, people translated. Some are thinking it might have been demonic, and I
wouldn't put it past
I wouldn't put it past it. Yeah, exactly. I mean, and the thing is, like, I think these things, and he said it in like I think he said it somewhere. He was like, I'm not trying to make a stance. I'm doing this for myself. I'm gonna take these people out. If like my last move is I'm gonna do something that'll take somebody out, like, right? Like that's not something any person would say, right? Like if he's not doing it for some sort of religion or some sort of like belief, then there is something wrong with the person that's doing this. And I very well think it could be demonic just because of the how the writings were, like, right, like, and especially saying kill Trump, like that's something that's like.
I think that again, what does that show? Mental health issue of some kind. I would guess that just saying when you're saying, oh, his mom signed off on this, I would guess that there's probably not a great level of attachment at home. There's an issue at home. There's something that's causing probably this depression, this mental health issue, and the shooter expressed regret in transitioning too. Which has been shown to be more and more prominent, I believe, statistically. And we'd have to look up the actual statistics, but I believe that it's been shown to be more prominent depression after when they realize it's not going to fix anything. You know what I mean? Like, it hasn't actually done what they've been promised it would do.
So there's two things I want to hit on real quick is, first off, again, like, it's not like these doctors and teachers from these schools are pushing this, right? The doctors can be like, oh, your son's gonna kill himself if he doesn't get this surgery or he doesn't get these hormones or whatever. And these teachers are pushing, oh, this is be what you want to be, right? Like, we've heard stories, like insane stories of these teachers and school counselors and psychologists, whatever, teaching these like six-year-olds that they can be a dude if they're a girl, like crazy stuff like this. And I think that it's a big thing, and like you said, like, people are like depressed after because it didn't fix what they thought it would fix. And I think it's a hole that only God can fill. Yeah. And I think that it really starts with the school system. It starts with these doctors that are telling them false information that these kids are going to kill themselves. Like, you hear Elon Musk has talked about this before with his son, that he was like, yeah, I was tricked by the medical people, by the school, that they were telling us that my son would kill himself if we didn't do this, right? And so it comes down to the medical people. Yeah, and it's definitely hard. So we've talked about it's a mental health issue. They went through with this because they had an issue and believed that this was good in some way. They'd convinced themselves of that, right? They'd convinced themselves that they had to do this or that this was important. Like, they felt probably like they were getting some kind of vengeance or justice for themselves. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I don't know how that comes about fully. I'm not a psychologist or why they tend to justify that in their mind. But obviously this is a terrible thing. 2 dead. These are children, keep in mind. It's not like an adult that can even try to defend themselves. These are children. And it was morning mass, so for Catholics, they were praying during it. Obviously, that's devastating here. Can I, if I just finish? Sorry, Jacob. Yeah, you're good. Sorry.
I was going to finish my one thought here. There's been several people who have, like Gavin Newsom, I believe, and a few other people that have kind of mocked.
This is where I was going to go for you.
But kind of been like, they were praying, you know, this is like stupid.
Prayers aren't enough or whatever.
Yeah, or prayers aren't enough. Or
is what they said.
We're calling for prayers. They were literally praying while they got shot. Like, things that feel a little bit mocking or taunting. Mm-hmm. And obviously, as a Christian, to me, that's disgusting. And I feel very, like, upset with that.
Offended, almost.
Even not being a Christian, though, we're not going to pray for these people. It shows the depravity right now, really.
Right. So, again, I think a lot of these people, these higher-ups, right? Like, these people that should be
like, hey, we're praying for you. We're so sorry.
Yeah. Exactly. They're not even, I don't even think that, I don't know how much they have really even addressed the families or the kids that were harmed in this, right? Like, they were saying, like, oh, if you were praying while this happened, why weren't you saved or why weren't you protected? And it's like, first off, we can even, this is a whole nother topic that we can talk about, that God doesn't save everybody, doesn't answer every prayer, and that'd be a good episode for another day, right? But, like, I think they're mocking God, they're mocking Christianity, and I think and also there's another thing that, so I guess, if I'm understanding this correctly, there's like a private Catholic Christian, like, prep school, like, board, right? So, like, for all the high, like, the people that are, like, for private schools, not public school, because the states have taken care of public school safety, right?
Yep.
But the private school head, I guess, came up to some of the authority in Minnesota and asked for, can this something be done? Can something be protected for these children? Can we bring something into these schools or some sort of protection to help with shootings and like things like that in schools? And it was asked of the Minnesota government, and nothing was ever done. And now you see what happens. So that's one thing that I'm like, okay, it really comes down to, at this point, it is the government that needs to, the state that needs to protect its people. And whenever something does like this happen, don't go mocking.
Right. Yeah, I think that that's an issue in and of itself, but I want to recap real quick. We're clarifying that transgenderism is a mental health issue, and I would say that's a deviant behavior. It's potentially destructive one, right? And internally, so we have to clarify that this can mess someone up, that they might be considered kind of unstable in that way. Mm-hmm. And obviously, I bet there were probably signs this person was going to shoot someone, or at least were a danger to themselves or other people based on that mental instability. And so we clarify that this is a mental health issue. They went and they actively attacked children. People have then kind of taunted or kind of goaded, probably responses is more what they're looking for, attention, but have goaded and taunted people by saying, oh, they were praying, you know, like, kind of like, why should we be praying? They were praying in the moment. Mm-hmm. Which is wrong as well, right? We can agree that that's morally wrong. Something feels very wrong about that. We can offer our thoughts and prayers to these people. Mm-hmm. we, I think, then can agree that obviously it's terrible. We can be praying for the families. Then we can agree that, and this is where it gets into it, right? So we can clarify, yes, this is what happened. Transgender attacked the children, killed the children in the school, and injured a lot. We've seen this happen before with other transgender people as well.
Right.
Now, let's get into another area of this that's also very important to look at, because I'm so dang sick of defending it every single time, and it shouldn't be that hard to think about, but that's every time a shooting happens, we don't blame the person, we don't blame a mental health issue that's this transgenderism, or any mental health issue that would prompt you to go shoot at children in a school. No, we attack the inanimate object that they use. And so people like the Democratic Representative Ilhan Omar said the U.S. is fundamentally broken and gun violence is a simple issue to solve. I wish that this was true. It's not. And she just proved that it's not a simple issue to solve. If you believe that taking away the fundamental right of U.S. citizens to defend themselves with any kind of weapon, then it's not a simple issue, because I disagree with you already.
Why are the terrorists, the mass shooters, the school shooters, the church shooters, right? We just saw a church shooting.
Yep.
And all these criminals, why are they going to listen to your gun rule when they don't listen to flipping breaking in and killing people?
Yeah, we've seen that we can't protect ourselves from trafficking issues. We have human trafficking here. We have drug trafficking here. The second that any guns get banned, you can bet that there's going to be some kind of gun trafficking where they get illegal weapons in here. I'm not saying that every criminal is going to be able to find that, or it won't reduce them from getting this, but they'll just find another way to do it. And that takes away the guns from the people who are actually going to use it well. More guns, and I can look up the statistic, but more guns are used to defend people each year and stop crimes than are used to start them or attack other people. I can look it up. And that's considering all the things that do happen. Now, you've got to consider the media only glamorizes the times when it's up. And even, the conservative media tends to only glamorize the times. And I say glamorize, I know that's like a bad way of putting it, but they specifically target, they used it in a wrong way. They never are like, look at what happened when this person used a gun to stop a crime. It's always, look at what happened when the person used it to start a crime. And Ilhan Omar, in this case, specifically points to assault-type weapons. Those assault-type weapons are what's standing between the citizenry and the military, right? I'm not saying the military would ever side with the government, but let's put it in context. The reason we have the Second Amendment is not because we're defending ourselves from criminals, not specifically. That's part of the reason. The main reason we have guns is so that we can defend from our own government, which we've already seen to be corrupt. Each side would point to the other side as corrupt. That is why we have weapons. So
I want to get into again.
Yeah, go for it.
When people, so they're like, don't worry, we'll take your guns away, but the police will have guns. They can come and help you.
Yeah,
dude. If somebody's in my house, I'm not going to run to my closet, call 911, wait 10, 15 minutes. That's on a good, if you're close to a cop, right? Yes. 10, 15 minutes for them to show up. I'm probably already on the floor dead. And then the cops are here.
Yep.
I'm not going to hide in my closet like a little sissy. And I like how you sent me this earlier, and I really like it because it kind of goes towards this. It says, you can't call yourself peaceful unless you're capable of great violence. If you're not capable of violence, you're not peaceful. You're harmless. Important distinction. So, what I'm getting at bringing that in is it's going to be chaos. Nothing's going to be peaceful whenever
when the bad guys get the guns.
When the bad guys have the guns, and we can't do anything except plead for our life.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, I don't... the right to bear arms is a
constitutional right.
Exactly.
And
they're trying to take that away from us.
Yep. And they'll try to redefine it. Again, they'll try to say, the Founding Fathers actually meant you should only have this kind of gun or this kind of gun.
Right.
That's not what it says. You know what the Second Amendment says? A well-regulated militia, being necessary for the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms, shall not be infringed. I would say that it's a far cry from meaning you should only have these kind of guns and the military should have these kind of guns. No, I think it's saying a well-regulated militia being necessary for the security of a free state means that you should have, and I'm not saying, I don't know how far this can go, but you should have the exact kind of assault rifle or this kind of thing that the military can use because it's to protect you from your government, not necessarily from other people. That's a effect that we also have.
Exactly, I agree with that. And what happens when we start putting out, like, we start standing out for our Christian values, and the government doesn't agree with that. They come in and try and, like, and we've seen this in other countries, and we've seen it in this country, where we're starting to put out our agendas that we believe are true. And again, we're different because we're not trying to shove it down your throat. Whenever we're trying to speak out, oh, I believe in this. I don't believe that this transgender. I don't believe that LGBTQ. I don't believe that gay is right. Then the government is like, no, that's an incredibly unworthy, right? Unconstitutional, whatever they're saying. And we're just like, can we actually look at the facts? Can we actually look at the Constitution? And then they're like, no, we don't want to do that. And then they come shut you up. So, like, when that happens, it's like, what are we going to do? Just sit in our closets, basically.
So, yeah, and that's what we see. So, to recap, we need weapons, first and foremost, because that protects us from our own government, which has, if history repeats itself, which it always does, you can see it in other countries. We're going to talk about Venezuela later, but Venezuela is one of them that their people don't have that, probably don't have that right to bear arms. There's a lot of trade there. I'm sure people do.
Right.
But we see during the Holocaust, guess who got their weapons taken away? The Jews. The Jews did not have a way to defend themselves. You can go look that up. It's true.
And look what happened at the
German
look
Jews
what
were
result
disarmed
was.
first. That's what happened. They were disarmed first because then they had no way to defend themselves when the government did come in and put them all in concentration camps. And so then let's look at on a level with just crime. We are able to combat crime in an effective way, far more effective than the times that they used to commit crimes, and this is an inanimate object. We're not looking, anytime this happens, we need to be looking at why did they do this? What were the motives? Cause? What were their motives? What mentally was affected? What mental health issues did they have? What was their home life like? What was their what were their interests? All those things that make up your psychology, that make up your interests, your passions. Those things should be looked at and being like, here's a common theme when we're looking at shootings, and it's usually a mental health issue. Right now, I would argue it's even transgenderism that shows it, right, as a symptom. We've seen more than one transgender shooter. But let's look at the common themes, start to piece together those things, and create an argument around that, instead of being like, let's create an argument around the inanimate object that was used to attack these people.
Right.
Did it give them the ability to? Yes. But think about if we didn't have it. There'd be no way to defend themselves.
Are you going to chop off my fists?
Yeah, right? Like you can't just take away the rights of the people that are essentially what's allowing them to defend themselves from things like this happening.
Exactly.
What if someone in the building had been like, no, they have a gun, or there's a security guard, or a person that should be allowed to own a weapon? You have a different story every time you put a weapon in the hands of the good guy.
Right.
In this situation, right?
And again, they always try and throw it back on the good guy, and I think that's another problem that we should address eventually. But one thing that I think should be we should really look into, and I think this week we kind of already talked about this, but really taking it from its root, and I think that's parenting, education. You could look at they found his computer history, where it was he was he made videos. He was really into mass shooters. He was really he was obsessed with those, looking it up, doing all these things. So it's
that's a factor you got to take in. Oh, look at what this dude's interested in.
Exactly.
Let's look at that background. What caused him to eventually have this breakdown and choose, I'm going to go shoot children?
Why couldn't have his mom seen what he was watching, seen what he was doing? Because, I think you're going to see signs, even if he's, not saying it out loud.
Right.
What could she have done to be like, hey, maybe we should talk about seeing a therapist, and again, probably the therapist would probably push that kind of stuff because that's just the world we live in. But
maybe if
you find a good therapist, there just
depends. That's an issue, too. Therapists can't I have people that I know that are therapists. They can't not affirm the gender, essentially.
Right.
We have state regulations in place, so they're legally bound to not speak out against that.
Exactly.
That makes sense. So that's an issue too. You have no therapist that can actually, and you don't do that in love, right? If this therapist is acting out in love, they love their job, there's a reason that they're doing it. They should be able to tell you, look, I don't think what you're doing is right. They don't tell a suicidal person, hey, I think maybe you'd feel better if you went and jumped off a bridge. You know what I mean? You don't tell someone that.
I think a good, my personal therapist is at the church. So, I'll go to the church, and I highly recommend, if you already have one, okay, fine. That's good. If you actually believe in this person, and you're like, okay, this is the actual person. But, for me, it's like having that church insight, right, is going to have a lot of the same beliefs I do. And then when things come up, you're going to be like, okay, then that's when, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we're going to have the same beliefs. So, and then that happens. Or if we're not having the same beliefs that will help them and not harm them.
Yep, I agree. So I think to round this all off, we just see that we need to be looking at the root causes and the symptoms and the reasons and finding commonalities between the shooters. Then we need to be defending ourselves better from shooters by not taking away the guns from the good people, but maybe being like, here, you're required to have this gun. I'm not saying there's consequences to that too, like how are we going to deal with that with children in the school, all that. But like, hey, how about a security guard? How about using our tax-paying dollars for security guards in schools? I would support that. Like think about that every time when you add in another factor, it changes the entire scenario. What if there was someone there who could defend them? What if there was someone there who routed this person before they were able to get there? What if there was someone there that knew that this person was struggling, right? But we don't look at any of that. All the thing they go to right away is guns. And if someone is immediately going to the root of, hey, we want to take away what you used to defend yourself, you need to look at them very critically before you give them any kind of ground. Because there's a big issue when someone is like, I want to take away your capability to defend yourself. You should always question that. Even if they have a good intent, you should always question that. And you should be looking at them real critically until you decide what the real motive is. And even then, obviously, that doesn't mean you have to go along with them. But like people like Ilhan Omar, I'm sorry, you're an idiot. I don't care where you came from. I don't care what you think about this subject. That's not the right way to go about it. You can't take away my right to defend myself and my children. And being someone who, you know, like, eventually I want to be a father and have kids. I can't imagine being the father of one of these children and knowing that
action could have been taken, but it wasn't.
It could have been taken care of. And I'm not going to be someone either that advocates for taking away the guns. It wouldn't have mattered. My kid would be dead. They would have found another way. So it's very frustrating. It's very
I mean, it's just a tough subject. And again, like you said, pray for them. Pray for the families.
I don't care
what
side of the aisle they're on. Don't listen to someone that's telling you not to care about these people or
and there's eventually a moral standpoint where it's like, eventually we will see where you stand. Right now, if you're like, okay, I feel bad for these. Maybe I don't agree with your policies, your politics, but if you're like, okay, we can all come together to say, I'm sorry for this family. I'm sorry for your loss. But whenever you have these people that are like, should have been this, should have been that, and not even caring about these kids' lives.
Why? The first thing you should say is, look, I'm really sorry that happened. Even if you're on, because let's be honest, I disagree with you, and I do think it's dumb, and I'm getting very frustrated. Ilhan Omar has other things, and that's why I'm calling her out on that. But even if you're on the side of like you want to take away guns, I'm at least willing to have that debate.
Exactly.
But the first thing we should both be able to come together on is we care about the kids. This is a tragic thing that happened. We disagree on what to do about it, and I hope I can bring you to my side and help you understand. Does that make sense?
Exactly. Yeah.
So
and like. Yeah. Again, I agree with. I think we hit some really good points there, and I'm
ready to go to something lighter.
Topic. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
So to finish it off for today, guys, we have a little trailer we'll talk about in a second, but we are going to talk about what happened last week in the NFL and artist world. I think I don't know, but Travis Kelce and Travis Kelce proposed to Taylor Swift, and I have a couple points I want to hit on this. So, Aiden, are you ready?
No, but let's go.
All right, so last week, I believe it was pretty early. I think it was Monday morning-ish is when we got the news. So Travis Kelce proposed to Taylor Swift, and I think the whole world lost their minds. Brett would say something else, but we won't say that for now. Yeah. But so I want to talk about a couple points, and a reason I want to, you'd think, whatever, this is stupid. Why are we talking about this? But it brings up several good points and also brings up a couple annoying points. First off, I'll talk about the annoying points is NFL season is now going to be all about this. And it restarted the whole Taylor Swift saga from 2 years ago.
Dude, I watched the if you can't tell behind me, this is kind of like my dad's setup too. But we're Nebraska Cornhusker fans. Dad kind of like grew up like in the Nebraska area. And so, you know, grew up in like the glory days of Nebraska. Now they suck. That's not the point. Even there was a Nebraska game in, I don't remember which stadium it was. And I don't even remember who they played. I don't know why I can't remember. I was there for like half of it. But Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift were there. The screen was on them probably 5 or 6 times. And I'm like, I don't want to watch the Taylor Swift show. You know what I'm saying? Like
exactly.
It's just like I don't care enough. I want to watch football. And so it does get frustrating when it's like, we're gonna go watch the Chiefs, and like I hate watching the Chiefs strictly because, and I'm not a fan of Taylor Swift or Travis Kelce.
It was at Cincinnati on the 28th. All of a sudden.
But
Nebraska at Cincinnati on the 28th, by the way.
Yeah. Okay. That's in Cincinnati. Yeah. Okay. That's what it was. I thought so. Because that makes sense. Kelce.
Because Travis Kelce played for Cincinnati when he was in college. So.
Yep. So that makes sense. But it's just.
I agree. That's so annoying because it's like, bro, nobody cares. Like, I'm not here to watch football. I mean, I'm not here. I'm here to watch football, not Taylor Swift.
I knew it.
And
I knew it.
But like, I think it's like, and dude, did you see the diamond that he gave her? It was like a, I think it was like a $540,000 like estimated price for what that thing costs.
Yeah,
that's insane. There was also so many like video or like things where like people were editing like people into like Andy Reid, the Chiefs coach, and he was like that, and it was like pointing to the proposals.
Yeah,
it was so funny. But like the big thing I want to talk about, we talked about the annoying football thing. Now it's gonna be annoying, but
I want to talk about points. I can rant for a while, so move on.
I want to talk about what this brings up in just the dating culture, because a lot of these people are like a lot of these like stories you hear, like I was with my girlfriend of 10 years, she never proposed, or my boyfriend of 10 years and he never proposed, and whatever.
Yeah,
I think that brings the question. It's like I think a lot of people are gonna follow after Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce, and they've already done so in a lot of things. But I think this shows that it's like it doesn't have to be a forever girlfriend or forever boyfriend, right? It doesn't have to be a thing you can. And I think this shows that like you shouldn't be scared to commit, right? Because again, this comes into the fact where it's like people never commit. People are just sleeping around. People are just having fun, whatever. And people never want to commit to one person. Yeah. And I think this shows that Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce, of all people, are the ones that get engaged, you know what I mean? So I think it's cool to see that's like, okay, this might give what do you call, like a something to go after in that sense. And what do you think about that?
They're role models, whether we like it or not.
Role models, that's what I was
People people follow them, they influence people in a certain way. I don't agree with that. I think that there's better people to be role models, obviously. But Definitely. In this case, considering they are influencing a lot of people, then I can support that. I mean, here's the thing. They're not supporting, like, don't have sex before marriage. They're not supporting that kind of stuff. So, like, but I do agree. It can bring back a level of commitment. I hope that happens. I hope that I hope that this symbolizes a little bit of the turning of the tide where we can bring back commitment and that the dude's going to stick around to raise the kids. And then we see less shootings also. Less criminal activity from the children that they raise. So I think that that's important to have that father figure there, and I hope that that brings about that level of commitment. Obviously, I think that there's better things that can be done. Like, let's talk about bringing religion back. No sex before marriage and these kind of things. But we want to look on the bright side. I shouldn't be cynical about everything, and that's, 'cause that's not helpful or right either. So let's look on what's going right. And I would say that, they're committing, and that's a good thing. And I think that shows that there's something in people that wants to commit. I would encourage them to think through that further and then be like, why do I want to commit? Where does that commitment come from? And why is it a commitment? Because there's nothing backing it. And that's where I would hope that they'd find God is the reason that I should commit. There's actually a higher calling of commitment in this, and not just, our reasoning for staying together and the reason we got married is so that we could still be together. Why would you do that? Well, God calls you to, right? There's actually a divine calling to that, not just as humans we decided this, because there's no real line there, right? Like, if they sleep around still, why does it matter, right? That commitment that you made is not sacred, right? So I would hope that they would continue through with that and follow through on that line of thinking, but if they don't, this symbolizes a really good turn of the tide.
I will say one thing that I want to touch on is, like, I don't know how true this is, but allegedly Travis Kelce was in a pretty, like, I guess, serious relationship before he got with Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
And you could see them talking, and then they just all of a sudden were together, right? Like, now that's where it's like, role model.
That frustrates me for sure. I mean, because I'm like, I don't know what happened, and maybe there was already some rough patches with that, and that's what I kind of hope for, honestly, more than anything. But it's frustrating because it's like, it's like you've got this girlfriend of a long time that maybe you're very loyal to, and then a supermodel comes along and you're like, all right, bye. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like that shows that where is that loyalty? That again shows you don't have any reason for your commitment at all. And so now, that's,
a funny thing is Travis Kelce, this was several years back. This was probably like 7, 8 years ago, maybe. Travis Kelce was asked like who his celebrity crush was, and he said Taylor Swift. So I'm like, maybe. Yeah, but that's
that just makes it worse, honestly. Like, again, it just shows that there's no reasoning for your commitment. Like, there's nothing backing your commitment. There's just a human motive to be like, I want to be committed, but you can go back on that at any time. With God, there's a solid, I'm staying with this person because I committed. So we'll and God encourages that. So we'll see how this works out.
We'll see how it ends out.
Hope it goes well and whatever. I expect, you want to know, Jacob, we're placing bets on this, right?
Yeah,
I'm going,
5 years.
I'm going a year and a half. $10 because I'm
$10.
Broke right now.
I'll take 20 on the over at 3. 3.
3. Okay, 20 on the over at 3. Okay, you know what? Can I change mine?
Yeah, I'll let you change it.
2 years. I feel like 2 years is solid. It gets them a good amount of publicity. You know, I'm saying 2 years until they break their marriage off, or get divorced, or at least they're separated. Are we saying separation or divorce?
So are we saying they get married?
Well, I think they're gonna get married, but then I think
have the wedding or just call.
Okay, so let's say this is after the wedding. So
okay,
this is after the wedding.
Time starts after the wedding. I'm going 2 years, 8 months.
2 years, 8, very specific. Here.
On the over with 15.
So are we saying closest one wins? Or are you saying can you go over, or if you're at 2 years, 8 months, and it's 2 years, 7 months, but I put 2 years, do I win? Do you get what I'm saying?
I win. Closest.
You win because you're closest. So it's just closest no matter what.
Down.
Okay, up or down. Okay. So I'm gonna take.
I'm gonna take 3.5. Actually, I'm giving him a little.
3.5. Okay, that's decent. I can see that. I'm gonna take 2 years, $10, 2 years after the wedding.
Okay.
That's what I'm taking.
Okay. Also, this might be one of the biggest weddings we'll ever see. Think like what Jeff Bezos rented out a whole city.
Yeah,
dude,
they might both like.
They might rent out a whole country for this one.
United States of America wedding. Everyone is invited.
Dude, honestly, bro.
Yeah.
But I think that's going to be it for this one, guys. Take your bets down in the comments below, and we will see you in the... Anything you want to say?
Obviously, we're kind of joking, guys. Stay committed to your wives and your husbands, for you girls out there, and look forward to seeing you in the next episode.
Yeah. Peace out.
Peace.